What's up, y'all? It's your girl Shantia, and I'm back with another banger, another word. Okay, now listen, y'all, I got a quick word for y'all today. I really didn't even know what I wanted to talk about, but I just had to tell y'all about my night. But anyway, so the title of this video is His Grace is Sufficient. His grace is sufficient, and that's a word for somebody that might have backslid or might have been disobedient, and maybe you feel like you're off track, or God won't save you, or the enemy is trying to guilt or shame you into certain things. Listen, child, listen to this story, okay? So I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it's for somebody, okay? So last night, y'all, the day before last night, I had went to the gym around 11:30 p.m., okay? And I'm at the gym, and when I left the gym that night, God said, go back to the gym at the same time. And I was like, okay, like that was weird. So all of that day, everything was cool. Around 5 p.m. yesterday, my stomach starts hurting. And what I've noticed is that anytime God is about to have me go deliver somebody or do something for somebody to align somebody properly, it's like it always comes in my core, like in my gut. Like I can feel the tug of war battle between God and the enemy, right? And so I can't explain it, y'all. It's spiritual. Stay focused. So yesterday my stomach, I could feel it in my stomach, and I'm like, what is it? And so I didn't want to go to the gym at 11:30 p.m. because I was so tired, so exhausted. But I was like, you know what? I already committed. 2022 was my year of when I don't feel like doing something, I'm doing it. Okay, so I've been stretching myself doing it. Go to the gym. I leave the gym. And so God said, go for a drive. And in my previous months, I would always take this drive, this specific drive. Anytime I was feeling anxious or I just needed to clear my head, I would take this drive. But for the past few months, I've been good. I've been living in peace, joy, abundance, happiness. Everything ain't been perfect, but I've been making a choice, right? And so God said, go take this drive. So I go take the drive. It was very random why I went to go take this drive. So I'm driving, I'm listening to gospel music, and I make the U-turn of where I'm about to turn back on the highway to go back to my house. It was like a 20-25 minute drive. As I'm about to turn at the last second to get on the highway, I see a car stopped. Well, there was a car stopped on the side of me, but you know, I'm just thinking, you know, maybe the car, you know, is slow to like go through the light or something. So as I'm driving, I'm like looking to the left to be like, why the car didn't move? And so as I look to the left, nobody's in the passenger seat. And so I'm like, oh, something is wrong. So instead of me turning, I'm literally turning the middle of the street to turn back around to go to the car, because I'm like, something is wrong. So I get out the car, and I walk up to the car, and the lady is belligerently drunk on the steering wheel. Like she's out of it. So I'm knocking on the door, and knocking on the window, and finally she gets up, and I'm talking to her, and I'm like, hey, like, are you okay? You know, like you're stopped in the middle of the street. And so in my spirit, at first, I didn't really know what to do. So I'm like, God, help me. Like, should I call the police? And God said, no. And I said, okay, so what you want me to do? Because it's only two of us, right? And so it would be different if I had somebody with me, you know, and then I could at least pull her car to the side. That's what I was trying to tell her. Like, can I at least pull your car over to the side of the street, and like you can at least sleep on the side and then get up when you need to? And so I'm talking to her, but of course it's not making sense because she's drunk, okay? And so I'm talking to her, and she's like, how did you find me? And I said, child, don't worry about that right now. I said, that was nothing but God. I said, okay, because this is God bringing me out of my way to come get you. And so anyway, so I'm like, you know, do you have enough strength to go home? Y'all, listen to this. In her phone, she had her address, GPS, of making her way home. First of all, I don't know why I get excited talking to y'all, because talking to y'all, I feel like I'm talking to like my friends or whatever, you know. But anyways, I feel like I'm on the phone with one of my homegirls giving y'all the tea. But anyways, this is God's tea. And so I'm talking to her, and so I see the GPS. She shows me her address, okay? And I'm like, okay, she live around the same city that I live in. So I start laughing, because I'm just like, ain't no way God literally had me drive 25 minutes to go get this lady to bring her back home, and she lives in the same city as me. We get in the car. I plead the blood of Jesus over her car, right? Because at this point she's still drunk, but she's driving. And so, but it was no other option but for us to get home. So anyway, she gets in the car and I said, I'm gonna follow you home. I got the address to her. I gave her my number to call me in case she needed to pull over. She's like, okay. So as she's driving, I'm praying in tongues, following her behind the car until we get home. Why does this lady live across the street from me? The lady lives across the street from me. I'm getting chills as I make this video. And my last words to her before we actually pulled out of the light to go onto the highway were, it's time to go home. And so it wasn't until I dropped her off at home and I started smiling, but yet I was so teary-eyed because I said, this is what it looks like when God will go out of his way to come get you in the midst of your rut. This is what it looks like when God will go out of his way in order to come get you in the midst of darkness. God said when there is a calling over your life, and the lady was an absolutely beautiful woman, had the most brightest light over her. Okay, so she got a calling on her life. But this is what it looks like when God will go out of his way to preserve your life, because the enemy can't have your life, because God already put a calling over your life, and that one right there you can't touch. And I said, there's something, and I told her that, I said, there's something special about you. You could have been another statistic of another drunk driver dead. You could have been another statistic of another person that was drunk and getting locked up. But God said, let me go send my servant to come get you, because my grace is sufficient. His grace is sufficient. And that's a word for somebody. Whether you're in the season of darkness, whether you are behind prison bars, wherever you are in your life, God's grace is sufficient. And there is nothing that you can do that will ever, number one, stop God from loving you, and number two, stop God from using you. When there's a calling over your life, God's grace is going to come get you up out of whatever you're in every single time, because the enemy can't have you, because God already marked you. And when you're marked by God, there is nothing that you can do that can stop God's will from coming to pass, child. Listen. And I sat there and I took her home and I drove back home, and I just had a moment of gratitude. And even in the car, she was like, you know, like she was saying how she was like so embarrassed, because she was an older woman. She was saying how she was so embarrassed. And I said, child, don't be embarrassed. I said, I've been in your shoes. I've been in your shoes of being drunk. I've been in the shoes of trying to overdose. I've been in the shoes of being high as a kite, smoking 5 to 6, 7 blunts. I said, I've been in the shoes. But when God has a calling over your life, child, listen. There is nothing that you can do that can stop God from coming to get you. And that's a word for somebody. And so I want to break off any guilt, any shame that the enemy might have over anybody that has gone back to any toxic relationship, anybody that has gone back to any toxic substance, anybody that has gone back to alcoholism, abuse, whatever it is that you have gone back to. God just wants you to know that his grace is sufficient. And there's nothing that you can do that can separate you from him loving you. There's nothing that you can do that can separate God from using you. There's nothing that you can do that can separate the calling that God has on your life. Listen, child. And I sat there and I said, God, you are so faithful. God is wonderful. God is magnificent. God is loyal. God is trustworthy. The situation could have played out a whole different way. But God said, let me go preserve her life again. And so some of y'all just need to take a moment in 2022 and to just thank God for all of the times that he saved you, and to just thank God for all of the times that he preserved your life, and to just thank God for all of the times that you were in darkness, but yet he still came to get you. God said you were my child before you were your mother's child. God said you were my child before you were your father's child. So God cares about you more than anyone in this world could ever care about you. Listen, child. I don't know who this word is for. And I don't know if the lady will ever come across this video. But she kept telling me last night, y'all, I was cracking up. She was like, I just love you. She just kept saying, like, I love you. I love you. And I was looking into her eyes, and I just wanted to tell her, like, you don't even know the calling that's over your life. You don't even know the greatness that God has for you in your life. But I was sitting there looking at a comeback kid. Come on, Holy Spirit. I was sitting there looking at a comeback kid. That's somebody's word. God said, you a comeback kid, child. There's nothing that you can do or nothing in your past that can stop God from redeeming you, that can stop God from restoring you. God said, you a comeback kid. Listen, child. I don't know. I didn't even know what this word was going to be, but I know that this word was for somebody. But all God wanted me to tell somebody today was that his grace is sufficient. His grace is sufficient. Period. Okay? So anyways, I pray that you all have a beautiful, blessed, and prosperous day. I'm sending you all so much love, joy, light, and peace. Know that you can create whatever day you want to have, regardless of your circumstance, regardless of your situation. You get to create whatever type of day you want to have at the simple fact of knowing who your Father is and having the gratitude towards God. Anyways, I love you all, and I will see you all next time. Bye.